Are we back? I think we're back. Yeah, some of you out there watching this months from now are not going to get what I'm doing here. But a couple of hours ago, there was a worldwide basically a YouTube global outage, which wasn't just affected here, of course. It was pretty much all over the world. It lasted for about a couple of hours, but as you can see, we're back now, and there was a little bit of a fear for me that I wasn't going to be able to get this done tonight. But we're here. We're here to talk about the films of August 10th, 2012, and, you know, why should I be denied the chance to give you some reviews of some great movies like The Bourne Legacy? Actually, you two, could you go down again so I don't have to talk about these movies, please?
That's all that are in the program to the ground. Agents, assets, all of it. You think Jason Bourne was the whole story? There's a lot more going on here.
Who the hell is he?
It's Aaron Cross.
See what it is? So I see through that door. He's going to wipe us out.
I thought they were dead.
Yeah, he's supposed to be dead.
You've had alterations made to 2 different chromosomes in your body. Increase in muscle efficiency, sensory function. We have never seen evaluations like this.
Not just a science project, Doc.
Find him fast and kill him.
I gave them everything. We both did. You should have left me alone. Okay? Let's go. The Bourne Legacy, rated PG-13, starts August 10th.
Okay, I make it seem like this is a bad week for movies. It really is not. There are going to be some good movies here, but we have to start with some real stinkers, like our first film here. Welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. Today we are taking a look at the 5 films that make up August 10th, 2012. We're starting off on a sour note here with The Bourne Legacy, which on paper doesn't sound like a bad idea. You've got Jeremy Renner, who's a rising young action star, you know, starring in the Avengers this past summer. He was also in The Town. He was also in The Hurt Locker. So it's not a bad selection for him to be in. Yeah, the cast also includes Rachel Weisz and Edward Norton joining the crew here. It's directed by Tony Gilroy, who wrote some of the Bourne movies. So it's really not that. It should not be that bad of a movie, but then you have to see the film and realize that, oh shit, man, can Matt Damon come back sooner rather than later, please? And can we get Paul Greengrass back too? Because, my god, what a disaster this was. You have Aaron Cross, played by Jeremy Renner, who's a new hero, experiencing life-or-death stakes that have been triggered by previous events and the need of the assistance of a doctor, played by Rachel Weisz, to retrieve the pills he needs to stay alive. So essentially, it's basically the Curse of the Pink Panther of this series, where they bring in somebody new to replace the old person, except instead of, you know, Matt Damon being dead, like Peter Sellers was in those movies, he's still very much alive, and they just decided not to bring him back for this one for some reason. But yeah, the Bourne movies have been known to be action-packed all the way around and just so much fun to watch. This is the one where they really drop the fan. This is a bad movie, man. And I'll start off with the good stuff first, because there's a lot of bad things about this film. For one thing, Jeremy Renner's pretty good in here. He's the one thing that's carrying this together. He's not the problem with the movie. He's got a lot of charisma on screen. He doesn't overplay his role here. He fits this role very well. The best parts of this movie is when he's in Alaska. He's fighting off against wolves, kind of like The Grey earlier in the year. And, you know, there's parts where Renner has to fight off against these wolves, much like how Liam Neeson had to fight them off. I mean, and that's about it, man. Everything else about this movie was so bad. First off, Rachel Weisz's character. I love Rachel Weisz, don't get me wrong, but I don't know what the hell they were thinking. She was so fucking annoying in this movie. She's basically this film's equivalent of Kate Capshaw's character from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. What's her name? I can't figure it out, damn it. Willie Scott. I knew it was that name. I just couldn't get it into my head when I needed it to be there. But, yeah. She's basically this version's Willie Scott. She's such an annoying character in this movie. She's the exact opposite of people like Franca Potente or Julia Stiles or Joan Allen, who is in this movie, And they write her as this annoying, whiny character who never shuts the hell up. She is one of the most annoying female characters I have ever seen in the movie. Plus, she keeps making one dumbass decision after another that make people want to chase her more. And, like you hate her even more because she's the one that's literally alerting them that, Jeremy Renner's there. It's just kind of like, it makes no sense whatsoever why they made her so annoying in here. Second, you know how the Bourne movies don't really explain how something happens, but then they give you kind of like little teases and spoilers so that you can figure it out before they reveal it at the end? This movie doesn't do that. 75% of what happens in this movie is so phoned in, and they're never explain why it's happening. It's happening because, hey, we gotta do it because it's something that just needs to be here so we can make a movie out of it. Like, for example, why is the Doctor shooting up all the people in the lab for? They explain that Edward Norton's character in this movie kind of brainwashed him to do so, but we never get a reason for it. Like, what good does that do except remind people of what just happened 2 weeks ago in Aurora, Colorado? Like, it makes no sense whatsoever. Like, why do the CIA agents need to kill Rachel Weisz's character? She even tells the CIA agents she has no idea what the hell's going on here. And you believe her, but at the same time, they're just like, no, we gotta do it because we gotta move the story along here. It makes no sense. Who's Larks 03 that they bring in to kill the two in the final act? We never hear anything about them beforehand. And it's like they brought him in here just to have this cool-looking climax, which doesn't even happen at the end. He gets taken out by a pillar so bad and so poorly put together, it's almost a comedy how this guy gets killed. And we never hear from him again. Like, there's hardly any action in this movie. There's only 2 sequences where there's action. One in the beginning with Jeremy Renner in Alaska, and then one at the end. And so the smartly played out action sequences that we saw in the early films in the series have been pushed off to the side for a typical run-of-the-mill action film that has no action whatsoever. And the worst part about this movie is that there is no resolution to anything. Absolutely none. We just wasted 2 hours of our lives waiting for something to happen in this movie, and then it just tells you, nope, sorry, that's all, folks, we're done here. It's just like, I cannot stand movies with abrupt endings that have no resolution. All that does is just make you admit to your audience, we just wasted 2 hours of your life, but thanks for your money. And for a Bourne movie to do that, that is unacceptable. That is absolutely 100% unacceptable. And that's the point where I was just like, oh, go fuck yourself, movie. This movie is an unbelievable disaster. Jeremy Renner's the one thing who's holding it together somewhat, but everything else about this movie is terrible. This isn't even a Bourne movie. This is a movie that another studio looks at and sees the success of the Bourne films and says, we want to make our own Bourne movie. So let's go grab another book series based off of this character, and let's see what happens if we do it our own way. But no, this is Universal that's doing this, folks. Like, this movie is bad. I mean, the smartly written and cleverly done action sequences in the other movies and everything that was smart in the writing process in those films, that's gone. Universal did that so they can just make a quick buck with a rising young star, and they didn't care about you, the audience. They only cared about making the cold, hard cash. And you all bought into it? Well, technically, no, you didn't, because this thing kind of bombed pretty hard at the box office to the point where they said, Matt, Paul, I know we were shit to you before, but, hey, you mind coming back and doing another Jason Bourne movie? And sure enough, 4 years later, they came back, and they got the series back on track with that film. But this is about as bad as Amazing Spider-Man was, in the story department, in the writing, in the action. It's a bad movie. I expected a whole lot better, but this is unacceptable, man. 100% unacceptable. So there you go. That's the Bourne Legacy, and, like I said, it's not as bad of a week as I made it out to be, but we're starting off with a movie that bad. It only gets better from here, because our next movie, hey, we got an election coming up in a couple months, so how about a political comedy? Here's Will Ferrell and Zach Galifianakis in The Campaign.
I'm here to announce my candidacy.
Does this mean we got a campaign?
Marty has 2 pugs, which are Chinese.
Get some American dogs, you kite!
Schools is this nation's backbone. A super sassy salesman sold me Sicilian sausages.
More manly.
Gosh, I am so flustered.
Are you taking money from tobacco companies?
No. What do you got there? Is that a crossbow?
The campaign.
Oh my God, it hurts so much.
Boy, 13 years ago seems like a long, long time ago, considering how politics have basically changed in terms of comedy from back then to now. I miss these days. You have Will Ferrell as Cam Brady, a 4-time congressman who becomes a liability, and the Mach brothers, recruit Marty Huggins, the son of a Republican heavy hitter, to run against him and be their vehicle to establish factories in the district that will import cheap Chinese labor. Trouble is, Marty is a lightweight. Marty's played by Zach Galifianakis, so his makeup falls to consultant Tim Watley. Actually, I think that's a name that was in another movie before, but he's played by Dylan McDermott from The Practice, and, the race tightens as Cam consistently shoots himself in the foot with the prospect of winning another also changes Marty and his family's dynamics. Meanwhile, Cam plays dirty, and Marty cottons on the Mach's grand plan, so what options do the rich have to get their way? The Machos are played by John Lithgow and Dan Aykroyd, and if you haven't figured it out already, you can pretty much tell that this was Will Ferrell trying to do his own version of Trading Places. And this would not be the last time he tried to do it, but this would be the more successful of the two, because Get Hard is pretty bad. I mean, that one's more of a ripoff of Trading Places, but at least this one takes a little bit of the ideas from Trading Places and actually does it in a way to make for a very funny comedy. This actually is a much better movie than I think a lot of people made it out to be when those trailers first came out, because this thing didn't do a whole lot of good business at the box office. It did decent numbers overall, but it really kind of came and went, and nobody really ever talked about it anymore. But this was actually a really funny movie, man. I was actually really impressed. This is probably the best Will Ferrell film I had seen for a little bit at that point, because he was making some pretty bad comedies one after another. He had a couple of decent ones here and there, but this is kind of a return to form for him, and it made for a really funny film. I like the banter between him and Zach Galifianakis. I like the cast overall. You got a great cast. Also includes Jason Sudeikis, Brian Cox, Thomas Middleditch, Sarah Baker. A lot of really good talent in here. John Goodman's in here, The Miz. I mean, there's a lot of good people in here. And for Jay Roach, this is a nice return to form for him. I mean, this is a guy that his last movie was Dinner for Schmucks, and that was not a very good movie, but this is a nice return to form for him. This is probably the last really good movie I've ever seen him direct, because after this he did Trumbo, which I don't think which wasn't great overall. Bombshell, not great either. And The Roses, which was just okay. Not as good as it could have been, but certainly was a lot better than I think it. I mean, it was a lot better than Trumbo and Bombshell. I'll give you that. But this one I actually really do like a lot. I think it's a very underrated comedy that didn't get the attention that it deserved back then. And I think it was made mostly because, hey, we got an election coming up in a couple months to elect the next president, which ended up being, of course, Obama again. But overall, yeah, I think it's a very underrated Will Ferrell film. I think it's a very funny film. It's definitely worth checking out. Go back and look at this and see how funny it was to make fun of politics back in 2012 compared to now. But yeah, it works. It's a very funny film. I enjoyed it a lot, the campaign. So let's go ahead and take a look at our next film, and that's Tommy Lee Jones, Meryl Streep, and Steve Carell in the romantic comedy Hope Springs.
I want a real marriage again.
From the director of The Devil Wears Prada.
You have come here to restore intimacy to your marriage.
Good luck.
On August 10th,
It's not too late for anyone who's willing to try.
fall in love
Trying to get the old magic back.
all over again.
We said so well we might be able to get out of here early. Okay, next step. What is it? Hold hands in public, sing a serenade.
It's sex.
We should just get our things and go.
Hope Springs, rated PG-13.
Michael Scott's been having those crazy fantasies about, Agent K banging whatever character whatever famous Meryl Streep character you can think of. I mean, that was a joke that I had more planned for, but that really didn't go anywhere. But that should not take away, my bad joke should not take away from the really good movie that is here, because this is a really good movie. You have Tommy Lee Jones and Meryl Streep as a middle-aged couple whose marriage have declined until they are now sleeping in separate rooms and barely interact with it in any meaningful, loving way. So Meryl Streep's character's had enough and finds a book by Dr. Phil, played by Steve Carell, who inspires her to sign them up for their doctor's intensive week-long marriage counseling sessions. Although Arnold, played by Tommy Lee Jones, sees nothing wrong with their 30-year-long marriage, he reluctantly agrees to go on the expensive excursion. What follows is an insightful experience as Dr. Phil manages to help the couple understand how they have emotionally drifted apart and what they can do to reignite their passions. Even with the doctor's advice, the two find that renewing their marriage's fire a daunting challenge for them both. And this is a really good movie. It's directed by David Franco, who we've talked about a lot of his really good stuff before. Marley and Me, The Devil Wears Prada. His last movie, I think, was one of his best films with The Big Year. This might be his last really good movie he's ever made, because following that, he's done One Chance, Collateral Beauty, Jerry and Marge Go Large. So yeah, not very good films overall, but this is a really good film. It's a film that is very well done. Actually, the writer of this is Vanessa Taylor, who was one of the creators of one of the main writers on Game of Thrones, which certainly is a very interesting pedigree to go from... Actually, did she do Game of Thrones? Yeah, she went for Game of Thrones, but she actually... Okay, she did Game of Thrones, but most notably she was nominated for the Oscar for writing The Shape of Water. But I mean, I wasn't too far off with that one. But the movie works mostly because of Meryl Streep, Tommy Lee Jones, and Steve Carell. The three of them work off each other very well. It's cool to see Tommy Lee Jones in something that is very different from what we're used to seeing him in. We're used to seeing him as the gruff, always like looking like he's ready to kill somebody mentality. But in this movie, he gets a chance to show his lighter side, which is something we haven't seen from him in a long, long time. And another opportunity for Steve Carell to broaden his acting chops as a whole too. And I think everything works very well in here. The comedy overall is really good. The dramatic elements are nicely done. It's a nice comfort food movie that you go into it, you watch for a couple of hours, and you never feel like you wasted your time with it. You feel like you get more out of it when you watch it. It's a really good film. And again, kind of an underrated film because it didn't do gangbuster business at the box office. I mean, it did well enough to bring back its small budget, and it was nominated for a couple of awards for Meryl Streep, of course, because it's Meryl Streep. Not an Oscar, but a Golden Globe, People's Choice Award. And it really just kind of came and went when it did. I mean, it made the money and ran, and I think it deserves a lot more than that. I think it's a very solid romantic comedy, a well-made film. It's definitely worth it. I highly recommend checking out Hope Springs. So with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and it's another studio looking at the success of Jackass and saying, we can do that too. Let's go ahead and do it with, who do we have available right now? What extreme sports team do we have out there right now? Or extreme stunt team do we have? Nitro Circus? Hey, apparently Nitro Circus is the thing, so let's give them a movie, see what happens.
All we've been hearing is there was never just one. Of course there was never just one fake action movie with fake stunts. That's a sequel to a sequel you've already seen before from a book no one's ever read. If you're ready for real stunts with real action heroes, there's only one Nitro Circus movie.
Why would you sign up for that? I don't know. Now you tell him.
Nitro Circus 3D. Rated PG-13. In theaters everywhere August 8th.
Okay. Your first mistake was PG-13. That's your first mistake right there, because you're already telling the audience of Jackass, you're not going to get anything that's specifically tailored for adults only. No. We got to make this PG-13 so that the families can come and see it. Number two, that god-awful marketing campaign. Like, did you really think the Bourne Legacy was going to be successful enough that you had to make fun of the marketing campaign behind it and make it sound like make it even worse with that lame setup for a joke that wasn't even that funny to begin with? Third, this is a lame movie, man. But even if you're a big fan of Nitro Circus, this movie you deserve a lot better than this garbage. Motorcycle stunt riders perform death-defying tricks in state-of-the-art 3D. Okay, I'll stop. Risking life and limb by way of bikes, trucks, trikes, buses, motorcycles, and semis. These are the things of Nitro Circus, and therefore the movie, led by Travis Pastrana, Nitro Circus got to start back in the early 2000s with a collective of extreme sports buds starting to crank out DVDs of their backflipping, tumbling, face in the dirt, engine-propelled stunts. Yeah, so... you've got, Travis Pastrana in here. The only other big notable name... Oh, Rob Dietrich's in here, too. And Johnny Knoxville, too. Johnny Knoxville's in here. Channing Tatum. So, I mean, I'm not a big Nitro Circus fan in general, but I get the feeling that, once you do a couple of these stunts, the shtick gets old pretty quickly. I think this is from the same Jackass people in general, because Jeff Tremaine's also in here, too. Rob Dietrich's now more well-known for ridiculousness. But other than that, though, like I said, this is a movie that really does feel like they saw the success of Jackass. They wanted to make a movie based off of that. But the thing with Jackass is that the Jackass guys, they may do these gross-out stunts and all that, but they put time and effort and are elaborate with them. Most of the stunts in Jackass are not the same thing. With Nitro Circus, it's pretty much the same thing. It's just like, hey, watch us do this extreme stuff with a bus, a car, a truck, a train. It's just like, yeah, after a while, that shtick gets old really, really fast. And, yeah, people were not stupid enough to go see this. This thing flopped hard at the box office. It has a 6% on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, this thing was a mess from the get-go, and nobody was going to buy into this. Because it's just like, you're not doing anything that makes Jackass... You're not doing anything that the Jackass guys haven't perfected beforehand. You're just doing the same things over and over again with a different vehicle. It's just kind of like, what's the point? Like, why am I even here right now? Yeah, people weren't stupid enough to buy into this. It crashed and burned. You can kind of see why. It just wasn't made for. It just wasn't fun overall. It was just kind of a lackluster attempt to rip off Jackass, and not in the best way possible. This thing came and went, and it's hard. It's kind of hard not to see why. So let's try to end the show on a much more positive note. Spike Lee is back with a new film, and he's going back to his roots with Do the Right Thing with Red Hook Summer. So this film is actually the sixth part of Spike Lee's Chronicles of Brooklyn series. It also includes films like She's Gotta Have It, Do the Right Thing, Crooklyn, Clockers, He Got Game. And so in the story, you have a story about a 13-year-old boy named Flick Royal from Atlanta who was sent to live with his preacher grandfather, the good Bishop Inakurose, in Red Hook, Brooklyn. I don't even know if I said that right, but in the midst of a sermon, a strange man strolls into the back of a church and accuses Bishop Enoch of a sexual molestation 15 years earlier in Georgia. Enoch then admits that it was subsequently covered up by his church, which paid for the boy's family hush money and let Enoch go free to start a new life in Brooklyn. The news causes members of his new congregation to turn against him and beat him. And the biggest problem with the movie overall is that it starts off with an interesting concept of a coming-of-age story, but then just takes this radical turn in the second half where you have to wonder, was Spike Lee making the script up here as he goes along? There's never really that sense of a consistency with the script and the pacing, and it really ruins the overall flow of the movie. You got good actors in here. I think Jules Brown was pretty good as Flick, and Clark Peters is also very good too. The rest of the cast doing a good job carrying the enjoyment of the film over. And one of the other things that really kind of bugged me about the movie was the fact that it is connected to Do the Right Thing to the point where, if I remember right, I think Mookie actually does show up in this movie. Yeah, it's literally a blink and you'll miss it cameo. It's like an uncredited cameo in here. And it never really feels like he's there for a specific reason. He's only there to kind of tie this back in to Do the Right Thing. And even then, it's not really worth it in the end. It's just like, why'd you even bother trying to connect it with this? Why didn't you just make it your own thing? But, I mean, to its credit, it's not a bad movie. It's certainly not one of Spike Lee's worst movies, but you expected a lot better from Spike Lee in general. And this feels like a film that was written at the last minute, especially with the third act that just basically comes out of fucking nowhere. Like, the movie overall is just okay. I think it gets by with its cast. The cinematography by Kerwin Devonish, I think, is very well done. Plus, you can never go wrong with some good music by Judith Hill and especially Bruce Hornsby. If the script had been better handled, they probably would have had something good here. But as it stands, it's definitely a movie I would say for one time. You probably want to watch it one time, but then you'll never want to watch it again afterwards. It's really a film that isn't that great overall, and it definitely feels like the lesser of this Chronicles of Brooklyn series that Spike Lee had. I mean, he really should have just worked more on the script overall before they finished the filming of this. Like, it really did feel like he was making the script up as they went along, and it just didn't work out as it should have. But not bad, but not good either. So, a mixed opinion on Red Hook Summer. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies, and the next time we meet, we have a wide assortment of movies next time around. Some good, some not so good. We've got Sylvester Stallone reuniting all the big action stars once again for The Expendables 2, easily the best film in the series, and I'll touch on more on why that is next time around. We also have the Leica Animations follow-up to Coraline, Paranorman. We have Jordan Sparks along with Whitney Houston in her last big film before passing earlier in the year with Sparkle, a movie that should have been great, but yeah, we'll talk more about that. We'll also talk about Disney's most lamest attempt to try to create a whimsical fantasy adventure since Bridge to Terabithia, The Odd Life of Timothy Green, with characters that you are going to hate so badly once you see this movie, and you hear me talk about it, because it's definitely a messy, messy film. So we also but then we have more pretentious garbage with David Cronenberg this time around, with Robert Pattinson starring in Cosmopolis. Another movie where it should have been a chance to show what Robert Pattinson could do outside of Twilight, and then not so much. And then we also have, I almost lost the name here for a second. We also have Robot and Frank, a very intriguing title about a jewel thief who gets a gift in a robot butler. And so, basically sounds like the Rocky 5 subplot about Paulie getting a robot sidekick, except this is done more seriously and probably will make for a better movie. I don't really remember for certain, but I'll take a look at it again tomorrow just to see, and you'll hear from my thoughts on that. So we have 6 movies to look at tomorrow, a stacked show, and it'll be a lot of fun overall, assuming that we don't have another outage, but then again, if you aren't watching this on October 15, 2025, you're not going to have any idea what the fuck I'm talking about. So, with all of that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, if you somehow find enjoyment out of this, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the last episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.